What is shaking, everybody? It is Friday, getting ready for some college football, some pro football, and you know how we like to do it. I like to have Dr. Bob on of drbobsports.com to break down some college. We'll break down the Niner game. I will remind you guys that there's a lot of free stuff on the website. There's a lot of really good stuff. They'll have a lot of leans out there, which have been profitable over the years. And, of course, he has his packages that you can sign up for as well. But even if you don't, you know, you can learn more about college football just by going on the site and reading about some of the write-ups for the games. I do it all the time. Bob, what's going on?
Doing all right. Last week I took a little bit of a break from actually writing up the games, but I put predicted scores on all of them. But this week I have a little bit more time, so there should be by tomorrow morning I should have all the games up.
Oh, I know you said weeks 2 and 3 are the busiest weeks for you. How come those are the busiest weeks?
Well, it's the busiest because I have ratings on all the teams, component ratings, running, passing, defense against the run, defense against the pass, special teams, interception rates, etc. before the season starts. And after week 1, it's not that bad because I just look at what happened in the game compared to what I had predicted for that game, and I make slight adjustments to each team's component ratings. But in week 2, after week 2, it's harder because it's not only, well, how did you do against the team you just played in week 2, but it's also like, well, how'd the team you play in week 1, how'd they do in week 2 relative to what I was expected? Because it could just be a case like, oh, you barely beat Old Dominion. Oh, Old Dominion's pretty good. They just beat Virginia Tech. You know, I mean, so you have to, it's like a tree that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger the more weeks you go. So doing that by hand is really hard in week 3. This week's not as bad because I have most teams have played 3 games, and now the in-season math model works a little bit. It really kicks in next week, but I've got enough that I can run it and kind of get some guidance there and combine that with my preseason ratings. And it's not as bad this week, but week 3 is brutal as far as the workload.
Well, we always appreciate you joining us. And again, drbobsports.com. Let's get into some of the bigger games this weekend. Let's start off with Auburn Tigers heading to Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is pretty good this year. I think their defense is much better. Their defense was pretty good last year. It's just their offense wasn't that good, so not a lot of people paid attention to it. But their defense is really good this year. They got some receivers back. Mateer, he looks like he's playing Pop Warner out there sometimes. Like, hey, you throw it, you run it, you keep it, you just do everything. And he's been able to do quite a bit. Auburn, Jackson Arnold, their quarterback, was the quarterback at Oklahoma before he transferred to Auburn. So he's going back home. And from what I've seen, even the Auburn game, Bob, he's very similar to what he was last year. Still doesn't throw it that well. He's able to run it. He was always able to use his legs. The problem is it's hard to run against Oklahoma. So 7 seems like a lot, but I certainly wouldn't be on the Tigers side. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, last year people sort of gave Jackson Arnold, he was a 5-star recruit, and he was the disaster at Oklahoma. They sort of gave him a pass and said, well, we had wide receiver injuries, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, Arnold averaged 3.8 yards on 260 pass plays against FBS teams last season. Those teams would allow 5.6 yards per pass play to an average quarterback. So at minus 1.8 yards per pass play rating, that would put Arnold in between Kennesaw State and Kent State in my pass ratings last season. I'm pretty sure Oklahoma's backup receivers are better than Kennesaw State and Kent State starting receivers. So you can't just say, oh, they had receiver injuries at Oklahoma. Oklahoma goes pretty deep at the receiving corps. And we're kind of seeing that it was probably more Jackson Arnold's fault than receiver injuries last year at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's been better this season, but he's averaged 6.2 yards per pass play. But the 3 teams he's faced this year at Auburn would allow 7.3 yards per pass play to an average quarterback. He's still been below average. And the problem that Arnold has is he can't connect downfield. Auburn's got these speedy receivers, and he just can't hit them, or he's reluctant to throw that pass. He's only averaged 10.4 yards per completion. That's just barely over his 10.1 yards per completion over his career. So he's still reluctant to throw the ball downfield or doesn't connect downfield. Whatever the case is, they are letting him run more, and he has shown he can run. But Oklahoma's just going to stack the box. And they don't let anybody run on them anyway. Yeah. They didn't they have Michigan earlier this year? They didn't let
they had that one big run, and that was it pretty much.
Yeah, that was it. So other than that, and Auburn might pop a big run. They've got a lot of misdirection kind of stuff going on with this offense. and they might get their big run. It could be on a jet sweep or something like that, or Arnold might bust one, but it's not a consistent way to move the ball. If they're not afraid of you throwing the ball more than 5 yards down the field, I just think Oklahoma's defense is going to smother Auburn's offense. Like Auburn might get a big play or two on the run game, but that's about it. As far as Auburn's offense, I don't expect a lot. Oklahoma, Mateer hasn't actually been as good as he was last year at Washington State, but they've still been good. But Auburn's a good defense, so I think it's not going to be Oklahoma running up and down the field. I think Oklahoma is going to be fairly held in check. I'm seeing something like a 26-17 Oklahoma game here.
Sounds about right. All right, let's go to another 5-star. And I love all these, recruiting outlets. Like the star rating to me is just, it's a big whatever. Like 5-star. I'll give you another example. 5-star, the great DJ Lagway of Florida was a 5-star coming out of high school. And I was at that game last week. I went to the LSU Florida game. That was the phoniest 290 yards passing I'd ever seen in my life. It was a horrible performance. Some of the throws he made in that game, a Pop Warner player wouldn't make those throws. And trust me, I tried to sneak in Florida. I was like, just give me a field goal at the end of the game. We'll be good. Nah, I can't do it. Their defense is good. Like Florida's defense has played well. I think, because I'm not sure how good LSU's offense is because they've played against Clemson and Florida, and they haven't looked good against either one. Anyway, I'm getting along the tree here. But you tell me if this is apples to apples. Florida plays Southern Florida or South Florida and squeaks by, gets outgained in that game. Miami plays South Florida and blasts South Florida. I mean, it was an easy win for them, 530 yards to 310 or 320, whatever it was. And this one comes in at the same price basically as the LSU game. I actually think Miami might be better than LSU, and Florida might be worse than we thought they were. I know this is a game you like. Talk about what side you like and why you liked them.
Yeah, well, Florida lost to USF. They lost to South Florida.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Florida's offense is struggling. First of all, they're not running the ball. They've only averaged 3.6 yards per running play against the two FBS teams they faced. And Lagway has been a problem. Last year, he had two really good outside receivers in Shamar Dike and Elijah Badger. Those two combined for over 1,400 receiving yards and 11.5 yards a target against FBS teams. The rest of the receiving core last year only averaged 5.6 yards per target against FBS teams. This year, through 3 games, the wide receiver group has only averaged 6.9 yards per target, and that includes a blowout win over LIU. So they haven't replaced DK or Badger at all, and Lagway's gone from averaging 15 yards per completion last year by just throwing the ball up and letting those guys get it to averaging 8.9 yards per completion. Can't find anyone to get open down the field.
Yeah.
They thought that who was it this year that they thought was going to be the guy to take the place? Forgetting Eugene. Now I'm forgetting his name.
Mike Hilliard?
No, the guy for Florida. They thought he was going to be the guy, but he's been terrible. So Lagway's just not finding anybody open, or he's not connecting downfield. But the receiver group has been the big problem. It's been a big drop off in receiver talent without those top 2 guys from last year. Now they face Miami, who's got a good defense. They don't allow the run. Miami's only allowed 3.5 yards per run play to Notre Dame and South Florida, and those teams are better than average running the ball. And their pass defense is good. So I don't see where Florida's going to get their offense. I think their offense is going to continue to struggle. And on the other side of the ball, you mentioned Florida does have a good defense. They gave up 6.4 yards per play to South Florida and LSU. That's actually not that bad relative to to who they faced. It's not as good as expected, but I still rate them, better than average defensively. Miami's offense is elite again. I mean, they lose the number 1 NFL draft pick and they plug in Carson Beck, who 2 years ago was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Last year they struggled because Georgia just didn't have great receivers last year. So Beck's been great, averaging 8.8 yards per pass play against Notre Dame and South Florida. He's been fantastic. They run the ball better than average. Florida's got a good defense, but Miami's offense is so much better than Florida's defense. I see this as a blowout. I just, not a blowout, but I think it's a comfortable double-digit win for Miami. And I bet this game. I made Miami a best bet at -7.5. Went up to 9. It's back down to 7.5. I don't think it's going to get to 7. Maybe you can wait to see, but I don't think so. But it's a good bet up to 9.5 or even -10.
All right, let's go Wolverines and Cornhuskers. I have no idea what the Cornhuskers are because they haven't played anybody. I know Raiola thinks he's Patrick Mahomes, which is kind of a weird topic unto itself. But from the number to the way he jumps, and anyway, who are these guys? Like, who is Nebraska? I know they're getting 1.5 now. It was up to 2.5. Maybe you can get 2, but Michigan land 2 in Nebraska. What do you see here?
Yeah, this is a funny one because Raiola was a freshman last year. I thought he did a really good job as a true freshman.
I agree.
He put up pretty good numbers. And I expected, Matt Rule has been at Temple and he's been at Baylor before he went to the NFL. In the third season, both of those teams were about 10 points better than they were in the second season under Matt Rule. I didn't expect Nebraska to be 10 points better this year than they were last year, but I expected some improvement. Now, it's hard to say. I mean, beating up on Akron and Houston Christian the last 2 weeks doesn't really impress me because any Big Ten team could do that. And they struggled against Cincinnati. I mean, they only beat Cincinnati by 3 on a neutral field. I think Cincinnati's a pretty good team, but I wasn't as impressed by Nebraska as I thought I might be. And I actually leaned with Cincinnati in that game, so I wasn't totally surprised, but I expected a little bit more. Now, Michigan, hard to know what you're going to get there, too. I mean, their quarterback's a freshman. Talking another 5-star. Their quarterback's a freshman, and he's looked okay in a couple games. But beating New Mexico by 17, not that impressive. Beating Central Michigan by a bunch of points, they're terrible. So it's hard to know what Michigan is either, So they struggled against Oklahoma. They were outgained by 131 yards in that game. And that's the only legit team they faced. Now, Nebraska's not Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's elite. But it's a hard game to figure. This is one of those things where you're going to know a lot more about both of these teams after this game because it's really hard to figure out what these teams are given the schedule they've played so far. Both have played, Michigan played one really good team and got really out. They got basically blasted to lose yardage by 131 yards. And then Nebraska didn't beat a good but not great Cincinnati team by as much as I thought they should. My ratings have Michigan by 3, but early season home underdogs are generally pretty good bets. And Nebraska's in a pretty good situation here. And Matt Rule's teams are 68, 41-1 against the spread in his college coaching career. And in year 3, it's better than that. So I would rather have Nebraska than Michigan, even though my ratings favor Michigan by 3, just because I think being a home dog and it's a big game for them. And if they have the improvement I thought they'd have coming into the season, then it's more realistic that they get the upset. So I'd rather have Nebraska if they're getting points.
Got it. All right, let's go to the biggest game of the day. Illinois, Indiana. Who would have thought? Talk about 2 teams that I'm not sure they've played anybody. I don't know what to make. Like, I love Signetti. I think he's done a fantastic job there. Exactly. Google me. Bielema has always been, well, I shouldn't say always been good. He wasn't great at Arkansas, but I like him as a coach. I'm not sure Beamer would agree. If everybody remembers the bowl game they played last year, that was kind of odd. But be that as it may, it was at 4.5, which I thought sounded about right. Now it's 6.5, which I think sounds like, I don't know, quite a bit. But I don't know much about either of these 2 teams. Expect Illinois was supposed to be good. Indiana was good, like really good last year, and I like Signetti. But other than that, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I don't think Indiana is going to be as good as they were last year. I mean, I do like Mendoza. I mean, he did a pretty good 2 years ago at Cal. He was great. Last year, he had no protection at all and just was overwhelmed. I thought he did a decent job considering how, he didn't have much time to throw. And I think any quarterback in Signetti's offense is going to be good. We talked about this before, like he's had different quarterbacks almost every single season at James Madison and at Indiana. And prior to last year, they were all conference player of the year, except last year, Rourke was not conference player of the year, but he was damn good. He might have been third team Big Ten. I don't know, but he was really good. And Mendoza has just as good of a resume as Rourke did coming from Ohio University. So I think the offense can still be very good. And you look at their game against they beat Old Dominion, 13-point win to open the season. Old Dominion,
yeah,
pretty good. I mean, they just beat the crap out of Virginia Tech in Blacksburg.
Yep.
And you, as a subscriber, you may know that I like Old Dominion. I had them to win over 5.5 wins as a best bet on the win totals. So that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be as far as, winning that game. I thought they still should have won by more than 13, but they've just crushed a couple teams since. And Cignetti, his teams are always underrated. In his coaching career at the FBS level, he's 67.5% against the spread and 12-4 against the number at Indiana. So you better have a good reason to bet against Cignetti. And I do not have a good reason because I think Illinois is overrated. And you look at the game they beat Duke, 42-13 or 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Duke outgained in Illinois in that game, and it was 5 turnovers that killed Duke. I don't think Illinois did much. Duke just beat themselves, and Duke had over 400 total yards in that game. I thought Illinois was overrated coming into the season. I haven't seen anything to make me think that's not the case. And I think Indiana's good. I favor Indiana by 9 in this game.
Oh.
And the situation's pretty good, I think, being at home and Cignetti being such a good bet generally. I'd rather have Indiana for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's sneak in a NFL game before we run. Niners take on the Arizona Cardinals at home. I think now the line is up to 2.5, 3. Somewhere around there.
Went to 3 because Purdy
is it 3? Okay,
questionable. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like Purdy's trending toward playing. At least that's what the line is telling you. Probably have to wait till game day to figure it out. So what do you think of this game? And I guess most importantly, what do you think of this game, with Mac Jones at quarterback or with Brock Purdy at quarterback?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if Brock Purdy plays, then -3 is a good bet. I think he's probably not going to play. Mac Jones is pretty good. I mean, he averaged 6.4 yards a pass play without Kittle, and they lost their left guard and they lost their fullback. I mean, during the game. So I thought Mac Jones played pretty well. I think he might be the best of the backup quarterbacks that they've had in San Francisco. I mean, but Purdy obviously is better. Now you got Arizona's secondary, regardless of who the quarterback is. Arizona's secondary is a big question here. They have 3 starting corners. So the 2 outside corners and the nickelback are all injured. They're all likely to miss the game. Garrett Williams, Max Melton, and Will Johnson are all doubtful to out for this game. So I think whoever the quarterback is, I think Shanahan's going to scheme something up to take advantage of the backup cornerbacks that Arizona is going to trot out there. I also think McCaffrey's going to have a nice game out of the backfield. Obviously, he's a great pass catcher, and he's second in the league for running backs and expected points added per target this year. Arizona just does not defend running backs very well. They give up a 70% receiving success rate to opposing running backs, which is 3rd worst in the league. So I think McCaffrey's going to have a nice game out of the backfield. And then on the other side of the ball, the Cardinals, I thought they played well. I thought their defense has played pretty well so far, but the cornerback injuries are going to be an issue. I like Kyler Murray enough. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. Their most effective player so far has been their tight end, Trey McBride. It's 4th in the league among tight ends in yards per route run. But Fred Warner is great in pass defense. They've been leaning on the tight end a little bit, but Warner, I think, is going to shut that down. The Niners were 6th in the league last year against tight ends, and they're 4th so far this year against tight ends. And McBride last year only averaged 5.9 yards per target in the 2 games against the Niners. So they're going to have to find somebody else than McBride to move the offense. And overall, I think the line's about right. If Mac Jones plays, then I think 3 is the right line. If Purdy plays, then I think it's more like 7 or 6.5 probably. So if you have some intel on whether Purdy is going to play or not, then, if he's going to play, if you think he's going to play, then the Niners are a good bet. If not, it's a pass. I think the line's about right if it's Mac Jones.
Got it. You're a little higher on that.
I do lean under. If it's Mac Jones at quarterback, I come up with 43.5 points as the total. Right now it's 45.5, and 45 is a key number. So if it's going to be Mac Jones, then I'd lean under 45 or more.
How much did the key numbers change on totals when the 2-point conversion not only came into play because it's been around a while, but now when teams go for it on fourth down as much as they go, how has that affected totals?
It's changed a little bit, but not that much. Because if a team gets off schedule as far as their points, if they miss a conversion, then they come back and maybe make the next one, and then it gets right back on that key number. So it hasn't been that much of a change. I mean, I've studied it obviously, but it hasn't been much of a change. 45 is still key. So is 44, but 45 is key.
So there you go. If anybody out there knows that Purdy's playing, what Dr. Bob's telling you is call me.
Let me know,
and then we'll we'll definitely figure it out. Hey, Bob, as always, a pleasure. DrBobSports.com. Go on there, read some stuff, learn some stuff, and if you want to join up, you can find all the information on there as well. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next week, Bob.
All right, thanks, Tom. Have a good one.
All right, Bob, appreciate it, man. That's Dr. Bob of DrBobSports.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Dennis Ranahan, Quackside Sports, PicksFootball.com. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL. There he is, hard at work.
Hey, I'll tell you something.
What's up, Dennis?
So how was the trip to New Orleans? How'd it go? Did you let
fantastic.
the players leave the bus first?
Yeah. No, we're good. We're, hit up Bourbon Street, but as you get older, you're not tearing down Bourbon Street. You're not lighting Bourbon Street on fire. You're not staying up till 4 a.m. You go there, you walk up the street, you walk back down the street, you stop at Pat O'Brien's, you have a hurricane, and then you get in your car and go home. And that was pretty much the night. That was it.
Penny and I took a vacation to New Orleans just a couple of years ago, and with Pam's sister and her husband. And I was sitting in a restaurant in New Orleans and realized this is the first time I've been in public since the pandemic. And I'm sitting here with the crowd, and I go, Jesus, I've dropped my my defenses suddenly just to be in New Orleans. We had a great time and avoided COVID, but it just dawned on me. I was so cautious during the whole lockdown period. And we went on vacation to New Orleans. Yay. But like you, I'm old enough that it wasn't, let's see if we can stay all night. And when I got up the next morning to go get Pam a latte, I stepped over bodies on Sunday morning.
Sure. Yes.
And I don't say that lightly. I stepped over bodies, live ones, I think. But
you think? Yeah, I mean, I was good. I got my hurricane. I got to see a couple people play their buckets. Everybody's playing their buckets, and you just throw them $1 or whatever, and it gets blown away. It's just anyway. But all it is, it's like, all right, so you go get your hurricanes. They have the knick-knack shops there where you can buy if you want to buy some stuff for everybody back home or whatever. Then you got your bars, of course, your like karaoke type places, and then pizza by the slice, and that's it. And it's like 3/4 of a mile. You walk down, and then you walk back, and like I'm done. When I went there for the Super Bowl, my first year at the radio station, I stayed up till 4 a.m. every single night. Like I was out there walking around, going to bars, drinking, and then I'd do it again the next night. I had no interest.
Next to a pool where you leaped chairs?
No, that was in college. That was another unfortunate. Incident. Yeah, that didn't work out all that well for me. I should know that you can't stack chairs up and jump over them when it's wet. But I took the chairs out.
If somebody had a video of that, the stuff you did as a young man, and I hope that
wasn't smart.
Podcast listeners don't know the story of you getting elected to the All-Star game in a tournament because your buddies jumped into the voting
press row. They were at press row. They voted me all tournament. Now I should have made it anyway, but
that's not what Steve Kerr said. Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr's lying.
Steve Kerr's lying. And they looked over and saw 6 of your buddies at some school had already left. Tolbert.
Oh, it was hilarious because it was us, Duke, Michigan State, and Florida, And because it was either Michigan State or Florida, they took off because they weren't in the championship game. So yeah, like 4 or 5 of my buddies just went down to press row, sat at the table, sat at the Florida section, and then they handed out alternate ballots and they filled in my name.
Tolbert.
Yeah. I was in the game. We were playing Duke, right? And I remember looking over there and they're sitting courtside. I go, what the fuck you get? What are you doing? They're just like laughing. I'm like, oh my God. Oh God. This might go poor. This might go poorly. So I made the alternative team though.
Yes, you did.
Oh, good stuff. All right. Well, let's get to the games. Quack Size Sports, Pro Picks Football, picksfootball.com. If you want to go check it out. And much like Dr. Bob, Dennis has free stuff on there. You can read through it, kind of get, what his mindset is on certain games and which way he might be leaning on certain games. And then there's obviously the pay element. If you want to sign up, that's great as well. But I would suggest going there and reading some of the articles that Dennis writes. They're very, very informative. So on that note,
I'm going to suggest buying the service because
I bet you are.
Money. That is where people are making the money.
There's no doubt. No, and I know I've had your service now for a decade plus, whatever it is, and that's it right there. You got your NFL strategies, your headline play. Like if you wanted to find out about the Colts and the Titans this weekend, there's a little article right there by Dennis. You can read that. Sometimes it'll be a play, sometimes it won't. But yeah, the service has been doing very good this year. The Al Davis book, which I need to get into at some point. I've read back-to-back books. My brain's tired right now. I need to give it a break. So head to the website, picksfootball.com. Well, there's one game I really like, but I'm going to save that for next because we just talked to Dr. Bob about the Niner game. Let's get your thoughts on the Niner game. And it's 2 different games. It's either Mac Jones or Brock Purdy. I was surprised Dr. Bob said that if Purdy plays, this could be a good bet up to 7. That sounds stiff to me, and I don't know if I'd want to take it that high, but I mean, he's the one that crunches all the numbers, and you crunch all the numbers. I'd be curious what your thoughts are on that. I kind of got a thought Purdy might play once the line started creeping up from 1.5 to 2, 2.5 to 3. We'll see. It'll be a game time decision, I'm sure. And I've said on the show this week, Dennis, that I thought the biggest key to the game is making sure you hem in Kyler Murray. Don't let him get to the outside. The Niners have not been good against running quarterbacks in the past. They've struggled against running quarterbacks. I'm not a Kyler Murray guy, but against the Niners, sometimes he gets loose and kind of does his thing. So how do you see this game and, with or without Brock Purdy?
Well, here's how I see it. The Niners are in trouble. They're in trouble. It's interesting. Last week, one of our plays was the Niners over the Saints, and yep. I got some of my clients call and said, "Do you know that Brock Purdy's out?" I love to say to them, "Oh, is he?
He is? Oh yeah. Shit!
Oh, let me call all the clients.
What do they think you do? I mean, exactly what do they think you do?
I think they know the answer to that, but they still want to say it. Do you know Brock Purdy's out? Do you know all the injuries? Kittle's not playing. They want to go through that. And I explained to them that that's why I have the Niners over the Saints, because we're taking a team that has to play on their toes, that knows they have to make up for. I built my motivation from a game in 1965 when I used to pick the games with my father. And that particular Saturday, the next day, the Minnesota Vikings were hosting the Baltimore Colts. And my dad said, "Oh, that's an easy one. Unitas is out, so the Vikings will kill him." And I agreed. And then the Vikings lost 41-21. Gary Quazzo threw 5 touchdowns against the Vikings. And my dad, who was a coach, said, "Oh, well, great game plan. Maybe this Quazzo's a good kid. Maybe it's something we don't know." And I was different. I was 15, so I figured I knew better. And so I said, wait a minute. What happens to teams that don't have their quarterbacks? What is their results? I spent the next week in the library going through microfiche to look up games where the quarterbacks were injured. And that team that needed to use the backup won the game more often than they lost. I wasn't even counting in point spreads, but I figured, okay, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about motivation. So yeah, Mac Jones, okay, you can like him or not like him, but he's going to have, 21 other players playing on their toes to compensate for the loss of Purdy. And that's the advantage the Niners have. Now, I also noticed in further studies that once you win with a backup quarterback, then the motivation is gone and you still don't have the talent back. Then you're in trouble. And so the Niners are in trouble this week. Last week, they played the Saints, who were led by a quarterback who had never won an NFL game in 6 previous starts. Now they go from there to playing a Cardinals team who dominated them, quite frankly, for a number of years. And so, and now they're, this is a horrible spot for them. It could be worse. And the way it could be worse if Purdy played. Because if Purdy comes in, then the team has a motivational letdown. Oh, good. We got it. We got Purdy back. Then they're double screwed. So the Niners are either screwed or double screwed. In any case, I love the Arizona Cardinals this week over the Niners. I'm watching that spread go up to 3. When I saw it go to 3, I was thinking, yeah, they're thinking there's a chance Purdy could play. That's what that spread is reflecting. Purdy's not going to play. Purdy's not going to play. Shanahan and John are way too bright to risk this kid, with a turf toe, 7 days after the injury. That's not going to happen. They're too smart. They're too smart. So the idea that they say maybe Purdy plays, that's competitive edge. That's making the Cardinals prepare for it. He's not going to play.
So Cardinals sounds like it may be in the running for top play this week.
No,
gonna be close. Gonna be close. Okay, let me give you my
there game. It is. Yeah, I love it.
I don't know that I love that one as much as you do, but I certainly agree with the logic on that one. Let me give you mine. And it's not a good team, which I have a feeling we've been doing this for so many years now. We talk about so many shitty teams on this segment that we like, and people are probably like, "Are these guys like high? Why do they like all these teams that are just that are terrible? Terrible
like the
football
Dolphins
team.
Last night, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna give you another bad football team that I like this week. I like the Browns getting 7.5 at home against the Packers. I went back and looked, and I remember we talked a couple weeks ago about the Bengals getting 7 yards in the second half against the Browns. They had 140 yards total in that game. So you go back and you look at the Ravens game, you think, oh, the Ravens slaughtered them. They killed them in the second half. The Ravens had 240 yards total in that game.
45 rushing, Tom. 45 rushing yards.
They have only given up 380 yards combined to 2 of the best offensive teams in the league. Baltimore may be the best. They're the handful. And then Cincinnati's always been more than just capable offensively. Their offense obviously has been lacking a little bit. I expect that. But at home, Green Bay, everybody's saying, oh, Green Bay's they're the best team in football right now. Look what they're doing. Guess who they got next week? The Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons' old team that I'm sure they're going to be up for that. He'll be up for that. I just have a feeling like this is one that the Browns might even win. But I think they're going to keep it within that 7.5, 8 points, whatever you get. Like that jumped out at me, Dennis. I was like, oh, okay, this one's calling my name. I already got that one in just so I didn't go down to 7. I don't know if it will, but I like the Browns. Who do you like?
Well, so have you ever been driving in your car and you've got cars on both sides of you, and then you see a pothole? You'd love to avoid it. You'd love to avoid that pothole, but there's chances on both sides to do it. That's what Green Bay's running into here. They see the pothole, but they got more important things on both sides of them that they're not gonna worry about this. Now, here's my concern about Cleveland. Given that they were so close statistically to Baltimore last week and yet lost 41-17, that tells me that a team knows how to lose in a lot of different ways. And so that's my concern on the game is, yeah, statistically they're there, but they're also 0-2. So, this team knows how to lose. This team knows how to lose. So that's a concern. I think it's the right side you've got, though. Yeah, I would be on the Brown side in this game. Just a standpoint of how high everybody is on the Packers. They're now the favorite, to win the NFC, to win the Super Bowl and all that. And so many rankings. I saw rankings come out. They got the Packers 1 and the Bills 3, and I guess they got Baltimore 2nd on the NFL network thing, and Packers 1. Okay. Yeah, they're there, but let's make sure Love can take this team into the playoffs.
The one that I don't know that I'll take or not, Dennis, but certainly caught my attention was, are the Colts ready to be a 4.5-point favorite on the road against anybody? I know Daniel Jones has been playing some pretty good ball. They're 2-0 at home. The Dolphins' effort last night notwithstanding, I think that's a ship that's going to just take on more and more water as the season goes on. And 33-8, that's still impressive, but you beat the Broncos after getting a second chance. By the way, when did we start conservatively going for 60-yard field goals at the end of games? Hey, Steichen, how about trying to get 10 more yards instead of worrying about getting sacked?
That was the worst coaching
unbelievable.
Ever. They're moving the ball.
Yes.
It's not like Denver stopping them. They're moving the ball. And then I'm sitting there watching the game going, no, don't set up a young kicker for a 60. Go get 15 more yards. This is crazy. You don't and so then they set up, and of course, field goal's no good from 60.
Yep.
And I had a client call me right away and said, "What was the penalty?" And I said, "Me kicking the couch." I was pretty sure the penalty was called on me. And then, of course, that was our top pick last week, taking the team that won the game. Who was it that beat them?
Colts.
The Colts.
They beat them 29-28.
Getting 1 point. And they ended up, so the 15 yards was given to them by the Broncos with a bonehead move. That's an obvious call. You can't leap over the center. They don't miss that call, so it was a horrible decision on the defender from the Broncos. But that was the 15 yards we wanted. That was the 15 yards the coach should have been getting offensively.
Exactly.
And fortunately, getting it from the Denver defense.
That was just I couldn't believe it watching that game. I was like, we're just going to settle for a 60-yarder. Like maybe if you have Brandon Aubrey on your team, but even then, it's still
you still want to move
yards.
Closer. They're making 60 yards, but that's not the come on.
Oh yeah, that was insane. So anyway, to this week's game, how do you break this one down? Because I know, look, Tennessee hasn't looked good in either game. Ward's got a ways to go. There's no doubt about it. But I still like the Colts. That didn't roll off the tongue right. Colts 4.5-point road favorite, divisional road favorite, mind you. Like I kind of want to take Tennessee on principle, but I don't know. How do you see that one?
Daniel Jones is a first-class human being. He was the first-round draft choice, 6th player taken overall in the 2019 draft by the New York Giants. And he had some good times in New York. He had some bad times in New York. And finally, mid-season last year, they went, "We're done with him. We're moving on." And so the Giants actually released him as a favor to him.
Yeah.
Because they like Jones. He's a first-class human being. And so they released him early because they knew he wasn't in their plans. So rather than just having that show up in March, they gave him a chance to catch on with another team. And he did. He caught on with the Minnesota Vikings. Well, here the Vikings had Sam Darnold playing, and the Vikings just picked up Daniel Jones as a backup in case Darnold got hurt. He didn't. And so do we have a lesson here that Sam Darnold had failed with his first 3 teams, goes to Minnesota, finds the right situation, wins 15 games? could Daniel Jones have found the right spot here? He goes to Indianapolis. He gets into competition with Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson gets beat out. And Anthony Richardson, of course, was Jim Irsay's favorite, and Irsay died last spring, so that took the rug out from Richardson and turned the coaching back over to Sean to coach the team, which was a good thing for him. And so now we've got Jones playing great. He scored on every possession against the Dolphins in the opener, and the first 3 possessions against Denver, and I think could have got him closer for field goal range if they would have allowed him to last week, and did win the game. Super. And goodbye. This is where the trap door opens. Tennessee's 0-2. Tennessee's 0-2. And they lost their opener to Denver in a game that stayed inside the spread. And last week when they played, Tennessee played the Rams. Well, the Rams may be the team in football, And so, okay, they lose to the Rams. Now they're at home the second straight week. And suddenly they're not expecting anything from Tennessee. There's no hype around Tennessee. There's no, word's the answer. There's perfect motivation. Perfect motivation. Love Tennessee in this spot. Love Tennessee.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Let me ask you one more, and then I'll let you get to a game you like. This one I don't have a feel for. This is just one of those games you look at the line and say, that just doesn't seem right. Why is this team not favored by more, or why is this team even favored? Maybe someone's trying to tell me something. When I saw the Cowboys, who haven't been great, by the way, they were good in Philly. Could have won the game if CeeDee Lamb catches a couple of those balls. Could have lost at home against the Giants. Found a way to win. Now they go on the road to Chicago and they were pick 'em. And I thought, well, they've been awful. They're a pick. The Cowboys should at least be a 2 points favorite, which I think they are now, 1.5. But it's still like, I was like, you know what? I should take the Bears just because that line doesn't make any sense to me. How do you see this one? Because the Bears, I mean, we know what happened last week. They got absolutely embarrassed by the Lions. And the Cowboys have looked offensively really good so far. But, boy, that's the one thing that scares me, Dennis. When you look good offensively and then you got to go on the road and your defense has been equally bad. I think I might want to take the Bears here, but how do you see this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't take a bad defense on the road by rule, And the Cowboys may be the worst defense. They don't stop anybody. The New York Giants, got nothing against Washington at home and goes into Dallas. It was a perfect motivational spot for the Giants, and we're glad they covered the spread. I was sitting there going, oh, we got this game, and then all of a sudden I started doing the math going, wait a minute. If they score here and then they're up by 3, if this goes overtime, oh yeah, our 5.5 could still go down to a 6-point overtime loss, Unfortunately, the overtime ended up to be, 3. I can't take the defense here on the road. And so that puts me on the reason the line is where it is because the Cowboys still have the public, running after them and thinking they're Dallas and, doesn't Michael Irvin still play for them, and so it's that kind of public America's team that always right now anyway is pumping the line. They don't. The Cowboys a road favorite? No, that's not going to work. The Bears, that doesn't work either. That's the problem. The Bears don't work anywhere. Chicago's won one game since midseason last year when they allowed Washington the Hail Mary to beat them. They lost 10 in a row after that. Then they won on the last day of the season. They've lost 2 more this year. And they're a 1-point underdog. That's not enough points for me to get excited about taking a Chicago team. But if I needed to pick this game for a bus ticket out of Bakersfield, I'm taking the Chicago Bears.
Who doesn't want a bus ticket out of Bakersfield? Good Lord. All right. I'm going to let you pick a game. I usually try to pick a few and try to pick your brain a little bit, but I think we've gotten some good ones so far. So far, we've gotten the Cardinals. We've gotten the Titans. I like the Browns. I know you said you wouldn't talk me off of it, but that's not necessarily one you're looking at. What is another one you're looking at?
Yeah, I actually have to look. We've talked about some good ones here. I'm looking.
Yeah, we hit a couple good ones already. And by the way, for those that are wondering, we don't coordinate this. I don't ask him what games he wants to get into, or hey, let me set you up. I just talk about games that I like to talk about, and that shows you that we are of a like mind a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times. The way we think about the games motivationally, and yards per play and stats get involved, but then you got to come. So there's a lot of times I'll pick a game, and I kind of figured Dennis might be on this. I actually thought he'd be on the Browns. I thought that'd be a perfect spot, but we did get the Titans and the Cardinals. Not that everybody's going to be happy to hear that, but hey, that's what you come here for. You come here for the hard truths. Not we don't got pom-poms on this show. We're trying to pick winners on this show is what we're trying to do. All right, go ahead. We got one more game?
Yeah, well, a pretty big game. We've got the Rams going into Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm looking at this game. I'm not sure it's going to be a play for us, but I guarantee if it is a play for us, we'll be on the Rams side in this contest. We've got a situation where as long as they stay healthy, they're thin, in the backup, but their starting lineup is as good as anybody's. And as long as Stafford stays healthy, this is a real good football team. And Kevin always, points out to me that he thinks Sean McVay is the best coach in football. That I know there's a lot of other conversations which says if you look at what McVay's done, this is the best coach in football. He took a team that started 1-4 last year and was the only coach ever to lead a team then to a division title, with after a 1-4 start. So with that said, now you take the Rams, who lost to the Eagles in last year's playoffs in Philadelphia, and you got Philadelphia coming off the win against Kansas City. You got to question how good of a win that was. I mean, Kansas City may be really down more notches than we think. And on the other side, and if Taylor Swift's boyfriend didn't drop the play at the goal line,
Travis Kelce not only dropped it, ended up being a pick.
It ends up going the other way and leading to a touchdown going the other way eventually. So with that said, I like the Rams in this spot. And while people are betting on the Super Bowl, defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, the line went from 3.5 to 3. And that's always an indicator to me, like somebody smart is taking the Rams in this spot. I hope I can be as smart as them. I'm looking at the Rams here. We look at the Eagles. They opened against the Cowboys. I don't care that they lost that point spread in a 4-point win. They had the Cowboys in front of them all night. The fact that the game ended close on the point spread was not indicative of the Eagles are going to win this game. They got the game in front of them, And last week it was a competitive game against the Chiefs. I don't know how good the Eagles are. They look real good to me, but they haven't proved it to me on the field. They're 2-0.
Yeah.
The Rams are pretty impressive, and they're 2-0 too. So I like the Rams in this spot.
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see Eagles 3 minus a quarter, 3 minus a quarter, Rams 3.5 minus 20. So it looks like it's pretty much 3. I'd love to get 3.5 because I thought about that one too. I feel like I would want 3.5, but 3 will still give me a push if it ends up on 3 because Philly's got. I mean, look, give Philly all the credit in the world. Their offensive line and defensive line are so good, but you got a quarterback right now. It's having problems throwing the ball down the field, and you're winning. So I don't blame them, but to expect they're going to get any margin away from the Rams by opening up the offense, they just haven't shown that over the last 2 games. I think this is going to be a tight game, and the Rams are always going to have a chance to get back in it. And if you're going to have a chance to get back in it, even if you're down, I like my chances with their offensive weapons, so I'm with you on that. I like the Rams on that one.
Very good, very good.
So I think we got for those that are watching, we got the Rams, we got Tennessee, and we got possibly the Cardinals. We got the Cardinals, and then I like the Browns.
Definitely
the Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
Definitely.
I understand it's resistance on your part, Tom, but tell me. I'm telling you, definitely.
I have no resistance. I don't mind. Look, I don't mind betting against the 49ers. I'd like to see the 49ers win. I always tell people I'm a fan of the 49ers in as much as I know people that work for the organization. I want to see them do well. I want to see them have success. I've followed the Niners for 20 years now since I've been doing the radio show, maybe longer. I'm not going to say I'm a dyed-in-the-wool fan like a lot of these fans are. They grew up with the Niners, went to Kezar, went to the Stick. I'm not. So I'd be lying if I said I was. But I like to see them win. But don't think for a second I like green more than I like red and gold. So,
it's so interesting. Sometimes, I mean, I grew up a 49ers fan too. I slept in the parking lot to get tickets to the championship game and at the last game at Kezar when we lost to the Cowboys 17-10. I grew up a 49ers fan and went to a lot of games. And sometimes I'll sit there and it's not a pick for us, and it's a Monday night game or Thursday night game, and I'll go, oh well, I'll bet on I'll bet on the Rams, and then if the 49ers win, I'll be happy anyway. No, it never happens that way. Never. There is no solace after the game. If you don't win the money, you're not happy. I have never said, oh, okay, well, at least the Niners won. No, I just lost $100 for nothing. That matters more to me.
My buddy does that all the time. Huge Boston Red Sox fan. My buddy Todd, huge Boston Red. Watches every game that he can. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to bet against the Red Sox. That means if the Red Sox win, I'll be happy. Or if I win money, I'll be happy. And I'm like, I can't comprehend what you're talking about.
It doesn't happen
right
in
now.
real life.
Because if I bet on something, I want to win the bet. I want to win the bet. And I don't want to root against my team that I go, it's so twisted. It doesn't compute in my head.
We were at a family Thanksgiving up at Pam's sister's house with her husband 20 years ago. It was the game that the Cowboys were playing, and the guy hit the ball in the end zone at the end and all that. And Donna, Pam's sister, said, I don't know why you watch this football. I'm not that interested. And I said, really? Okay, I just put $20 on the Cowboys for you. Now what do you think? She was glued to the set for the rest of the day for $20. You follow your money. That's what makes it exciting for you.
I always tell people, you want to know about the Tampa Bay Lightning? Bet $100 on them every game. You'll know about the third line. You'll know about the blue line. You know about the backup goaltender. I go, that's the way.
Put a little skin in the game.
Absolutely. Dennis Ranahan, everybody. Pigsfootball.com. Go to the site, check it out, and we will talk to you again. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, you're off to a great start. Hopefully, continue rolling, and we'll talk to you again next Friday, Dennis.
Tom, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it. All right, we got you taken care of from a handicapping standpoint. Now, we'll take some comments if you want. Kind of sucks. I'm out of beer here. I don't know if I want to take a quick beer break and come back and finish it up. Like, I probably got another 20 minutes in me. Do I want another beer? I don't know. Do I want another beer? I'm asking you. Do I fucking want another beer? Or do I not want another beer? The first comment wins. Do I want a beer or do I not want a beer? Or do we have no? Everybody's like just checked out now. Nobody wants to come up with something for the and we'll talk Niners. We'll get to the Niners too. But I still got to figure this out before I not you. I don't need members of the squad telling me, yeah, you need a beer. But Woodpit said I needed a beer. So, all right, give me a homer. Give me like 5, not 5. Give me like 1 minute. I'll grab a beer and I'll come back. All right, we'll be back. We got a Underneath the Pine from Cellar Maker. Pretty good movie, by the way. I think it was Underneath the Pines, something like that. Bradley Cooper. Somebody else was in it too. Can't remember exactly who was in it. Oh, that's tasty. That is tasty. And I might need to head over to Cellar Maker or Field Work later on. Grab some reinforcements for the weekend. Although I think I'm good. I got some left over from before the New Orleans trip, so I'm solid. Okay, update. Got to give you guys an update. Now, you guys did not get to see the little mouse that I saved from the clutches of my cat a couple days ago. So I didn't show it to you, but I had it in a little cardboard box. Put some bedding in there that put in the rabbit's cage, and set it in there. And I was like, okay, what are we gonna do with this little mouse? I thought the mouse was dying. I didn't know it was like fully alive, but I was like, yeah, I'll go move it, get it out of here. So did the show. Didn't show you guys the mouse. Show's over. Took the mouse, brought it out front. I was like, should I go put it across the street just so the cats? I go, nah. And then it just hopped out. I was like, holy shit. This thing's like fully alive. It was just scared, kind of playing possum a little bit. So it jumped out and started, bouncing around and doing its thing. I was like, okay, cool. Mouse can go ahead and do its thing. Cats Cats are cats. Cats figured out where the mouse was, and the mouse ended up on the just off the porch on the walkway, and it had a little bit of Marie Antoinette-itis. No head. The cats took off the head, not completely, but enough to it wasn't pretty. So Camila was out there, my granddaughter, which she thought we had a pet mouse. We're like, no, we don't have a pet mouse. We're not keeping the mouse. It's a wild mouse. We're letting the mouse. Oh, I wanted to keep it. She was very sad that we didn't get to keep the mouse. So you can assume, rightfully so, that she was even more upset when not only did we not get to keep the mouse had no head. Ichabod Crane. Ichabod Mouse was sitting on, and so just dead. So buried it out in front with the turtle and Cute the hamster. Fucking zoo around here. So I'm like, oh, that was cats. Later on that evening, I walked back out, and the cats are kind of on the prowl again. I'm like, oh man, now what's going on? Another mouse. I don't know if there's a bunch of them around here. So I'm like, all right, hey, do your thing. You're cats. This is your job. Clock in. Do what you got to do. And they did. This time, they took the head completely off. I guess I got a taste for it. So they Ichabod Mouse this one too. And just zero head. I don't even know where the head is. Can't even find the head. Head's gone. I don't know if they ate the head or buried the head, brought the head to their king. I don't know. Maybe it was like, that Arizona has a sword. They get the footballs and they put them on the sword for like turnovers. Maybe that's what they did with the head. They're going to hold the head up, hold the heads up like they got a little cat sword. So I don't know where the head was. So we got 2 mice and heads gone. But hey, I'm not, I told you on the show, I'm not going to hurt the mouse, but if the cats want to, that's their job. Via Matt Mayoko, who loves mice too. That'll tie it in. I have no idea. Purdy's back at practice today. Is limited Wednesday, Thursday. Kyle Shanahan will reveal injury report when he meets with media and 50. Look, here's my guess. They're going to keep the door open, and you won't know until Sunday. And I know some of you are probably thinking, why play him? Let him sit one more week. Let him sit one more week with that toe. And I've always been, good Lord, did somebody just write a book on here? Like, it's really like, let me see. Is there any way to explain? I mean, that's so much to read. I don't even know. Yeah. The last point you made was your best. The NBA cap is a mess, and if you try to get into it, then your head's gonna hurt. Like, I don't even understand the cap half the time. I played. I'm not a capologist. I just I don't even play one on the radio or on YouTube or whatever. I never got into the cap because it's tough to understand. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Leave it at that. We'll talk about the players on the court. But when it comes to Purdy, if he plays, I'm assuming they've all talked about it. I'm assuming Kyle's good with it, John's good with it, Purdy's good with it. They're all good with it. Like, he doesn't have a chance to re-injure the toe. I think if he has a chance to re-injure the toe, I think they'll all say, let's wait a week. Let's wait a week. We got a little wiggle room now. That's what those wins give you. That's what that win in Seattle gives you. That's what that win in New Orleans give you. Yeah, I mean, look, he's officially questionable. That makes perfect sense. Probably won't even know until game time. Juwan Jennings and Colby are questionable also. It's NFL's wild, man. Like all these teams. You heard Dr. Bob talk about the secondary of the Cardinals. 3 DBs are missing. That's a ton. So we'll see. I don't feel Dr. Bob thought it would go up to 7 if Purdy played. Like that would be a good bet. Like if it were 3 or 4 and you could get it and you knew Purdy was going to play, that would be a good bet at minus 3-4. I don't know that I feel that strongly about it. Kyle Shanahan said it's highly unlikely Purdy will start on Sunday. The hope is that he'll be able to be in uniform per Matt Barrows. Okay. So there you go. So in uniform but if he's in uniform and he can play, anyway, we'll see. Again, you're 2-0. You got a little bit of leeway here. You got a little bit of margin for error here. And you don't have to force it if you don't want to force it. So that's the positive. So if he feels good, if he can go, I'd play him. If there's no chance of re-injuring the toe, which I'm sure there is when it's a toe. But we'll see. I don't get that caught up into, they shouldn't play him. They should play him. I don't know all the information. I don't have all the information. You don't have all the information. So I have no idea whether they should play him or not. Don't know. So I'll reiterate what I said. The important things in the game. Make sure you keep Connor from going crazy. He did last year in the Bay, especially in the second half. And then make sure you take care of Murray outside the pocket. Just keep him hemmed in. If Murray beats you from the pocket, he beats you from the pocket. Then you know what? Whatever. But I just don't think he can. I don't think he's good enough to do that. And I think that will be one of the keys to the game. Mac Jones is more than capable of running this offense. And I thought it was interesting, the stats that Dr. Bob threw out there, that they don't defend running backs, specifically in the passing game, very well. That's one of McCaffrey's best traits. And so if it's turf toe, turf toe's tough. Turf toes did that. Yeah. Doesn't sound like much. Dudes are always out like a month and a half, 2 months. Like turf toe's rough. And so we'll see. We'll see on Sunday. But again, Mac Jones more than capable of running that offense. And they have enough weapons. It'd be nice if Juwan Jennings is healthy. They can use all the receivers they can get. But DeMarcus Robinson will be back the following week. So you're going to have that. He's not spectacular, but he is an NFL quality receiver. Like you plug him in and play, he can get stuff done. And hopefully IU could be back, late October, early November. That would be cool. But you get one out of these next 2. I think you set yourself up really nicely. 3-1 to start the season. That'd be pretty sweet. That would be really nice. And so, all right. If you guys have any comments, you have any questions, doesn't matter what, basketball, baseball. Oh, how about the Dodgers-Giants last night? How many times have you seen an inning where not one ball is put in play and the team that's batting scores a run? That's what happened to the Giants in the 8th inning. 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, not a ball put in play, and a run. And that pretty much summed it up. So, I won't say it's over yet, but boy, it's you can see it. You can see it's over from here. So it's gonna be tough. So you want to talk about the Giants? You want to talk about the Warriors? Anything in the NFL? You want to hit some college football this weekend? We can do that. The beer I'm drinking again is Underneath the Pine Cellar Maker. So I've had these for a couple weeks. Maybe about a month now. These are pretty good though. If you like pale ales, Cellar Maker is the place for you. Cellar Maker has great pale ales. Love their pale ales. And so you can hit that up. What else do we have? How am I doing in my fantasy league? Awful. My fantasy league is awful. I'm terrible. I'm 0-2. My team is ass. I have nothing going on. My running backs are terrible. My wide receivers are good. My tight end is garbage. My quarterback, Geno Smith, needed 17 points last week to give me the win. He got 7, like 7.5, 8, whatever it was. Awful. Just awful. So I need some of my young running backs to come up big for me. I need Trayvon Henderson to come up big for me. I need Bill Krosky to come up big for me. Bill Krosky Merritt to come up big for me. I need Cam Scattaboo to do some stuff for me. And then I got Pollard. It's like it's a worst running back room probably in fantasy in America. I don't think anybody has a worse running back room than I do. It is awful. And then Evan Engram sucks. So every time I have that guy on my team, nothing, just 0. And I don't want to hear about the calf or the hammy or the hammock bone or the shoulder or the pelvic bone or the whatever. I don't care. Just can you get a couple catches? Just a few catches. Just give me 10 points. That's all I want. 10. We're good. So yeah, I could use a win this week. I need a win. So I'm trying to get my brother to trade me Kittle. I can get Kittle on the team, so when Kittle comes back, at least I'll have a good tight end. But I'm awful. Do I think CMC will find his burst again? I think he's pretty bursty this year. I mean, I don't know what you're seeing. Maybe I'm seeing something different, but I would say he seems pretty bursty. Uh-oh. Okay? I'm gonna let me look at McCaffrey real quick. I just got a trade request. You guys want to hear a trade request? I'm gonna let you guys weigh in on this and tell me if this is something that you would consider. But let me look at McCaffrey real quick, because I think McCaffrey's looked pretty good. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I think he looks pretty bursty this year. Let's see. Niners player stats. There's McCaffrey. 8.3 per reception. And what is he? 3.5 per rush. Not great. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think he looks pretty good though. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not right. Maybe 3.5 isn't all that impressive. I got to say, but I think he's been pretty good. I'll take this version of Christian McCaffrey and feel pretty good about it. All right, let's get to the trade request, shall we? Now, the person who sent me this doesn't know that I'm asking my studio audience. And let's see what we have. Let's see if you guys go for it. Okay, let's see. Okay, trade request. Okay, let's get this thing going. Team. Transaction. Okay, I got a trade request. Here we go. Okay. Omarion Hampton. I could use a running back. And Boutte, the wide receiver for the Patriots. For Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver for the Jaguars, who hasn't been great so far. And Matthew Golden, who I drafted him. He had no targets. They have like 9,000 receivers. in Green Bay. Maybe I should have thought of that before I drafted Golden. But Hampton and Butte for Brian Thomas Jr. and Matthew Golden. That actually doesn't sound terrible. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, Butte hasn't done anything, so it's basically I need a running back. My running backs are garbage. Eric says he'd do it. Yeah, that's my point. That's what I think too. I hate to give up on Thomas Jr. now because he's been brutal the first 2 weeks. Brutal. So Manny says no. Eric P says if you're short running backs, which I am. So, but Hampton hasn't been great. That's the problem. Hampton has 8-3. So, God, I mean, I wanted Hampton early. These are tough trades to make because I'm giving up like a top 12 guy for a third rounder in Hampton. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do the trade. He also has Ashton Genty, who hasn't been great, but I'm going to tell him I'll do the trade for Genty. Genty and Butte for Brian Thomas Jr. and Golden. Because Genty and Brian Thomas Jr. are drafted about the same time. Do I have other good wide receivers? Not really. I mean, I have Malik Neighbors and I have Garrett Wilson. So I have 2. So that's not bad. I mean, my receivers are okay. But my running backs are just but if I give away Matthew Golden, I could play Cedric Tillman for the Browns. Throw in Ingram. Yeah, anybody want Ingram? You don't even have to be in my league, and I'll give him to you. So, yeah, no, Neighbors is good. Neighbors I'm not trading away. He's my best receiver. I'm going to ask him for Genty and Butte and see what he says. I think that's more fair, right? That seems more fair to me. So let's say we go transactions, we go trade. I think there's a counter trade. Okay. So let's go Genty and Butte. Butte. Boom. And I'll give him Brian Thomas Jr. and Golden. And we'll see what he does. And Golden. Next. Okay, Genty and Butte for... I mean, it sounds about right, doesn't it? There you go. There you go. So I'd rather have Genty than Omar and Hampton. Although Hampton could become really good. Just he hasn't. Damn it. I'm going to have to figure that one out. So anyway. All right. What else did I wanted to get into? Oh, I know one thing I wanted to talk about just for a second because we're kind of getting up against it. But since it's huge news, I'm not going to get into it. I was going to get into the Kimmel thing for a minute. And not from a political standpoint, just from a money-making standpoint. Like they and I wanted to kind of get into Kaepernick and all the athletes that got dinged, Donald Sterling, all those, and not that those two are alike in any way, but basically what I was going to say was, it's just follow the money. Just follow the money. I mean, right now ABC is like, we could lose money. So we're going to go ahead and suspend Kimmel. But I guess a lot of people, have stopped their subscription to Disney Plus because they did what they did to Kimmel. So look, if you want to voice your opinion on something, just stop buying stuff they advertise, or stop showing support. Stop watching. Stop. That's all it is. That's all this is. I tell people that's the only way. You don't like a player on the team that you root for. You don't like the owner. You don't like the comments the owner made. Stop going stop going to the ball game. People were bitching about Burns, the Giants owner, and I was like, "What are you bitching about? Why are you getting? Stop going to the game then. Stop buying their gear. Stop buying the product. Like that's the way you evoke change. It's the only way you evoke change. It's the only thing these people understand is money. Period. So if there's something that happens that you don't like with your favorite team, whether it's a player, a coach, something the owner said, stop buying their advertising, put the pressure on the advertising, stop going to the game. You don't got to worry about watching the game. That money's already been paid off. But stop going to the game, stop buying the merchandise. And it's not just going to be just you, it's going to be everybody else. But that's the only way to evoke change. That is it. So that's kind of what I was going to go on. But that's your only voice. And do you really want to know anyway? Like, do you really want to know who everybody is? You think everybody would like Nick Bosa? Does everybody want to invite Nick Bosa to their party? I would. Nick Bosa seems like a really funny dude. I would love to hang out with Nick Bosa. Are we aligned politically? Not really. Not really at all. But like, I don't have to be aligned with you politically to like you. You think all my friends on my group thread are like, I'm all aligned with them? I got some Fox News watchers that are on my thread. They're some of my best friends. I just don't agree with them on a lot of different things. So you can not agree with someone and still get along with them, still have a good time with them, still watch sports with them, still laugh with them. And that's the thing. Like, I don't really care who you are if you're playing for a team that I want to win, especially if I bet on you. Aside from the fact if you're a criminal, that's where I'll draw the line. If you're a criminal, that like I said, I'm not going to say he's a criminal or not a criminal. You make up your own mind. But when Deshaun Watson signed with the Browns, I'm like, I hope they lose every game. I hope they lose every game. I hope they're awful. And guess what? Sometimes dreams do come true. Now, they could have been awful with him. Without him, they've proven that. They can be awful. Like, they're very versatile with their awfulness. They could be awful in a lot of different situations. And they just happen to be awful signing Deshaun Watson. But the fact they gave him that guaranteed money just showed how desperate they were. He didn't even want to go there. He went there only because of the guaranteed money, and then they sucked. And I was happy. That was very cool. So that was the way that I kind of showed my not really displeasure with the signing. I mean, what do they care? It wasn't like I was buying Browns gear anyway. I stopped buying Browns gear. But I was like, I hope these guys suck for a long period of time. But that, to me, when I read the stories, not that he ever got charged with stuff, but that was like, that crossed the line. Not only was it out of line, it crossed the line. If somebody does something like that, then yeah, I'm probably not going to root for the team. I don't want to see him have success. If an organization's going to pay someone, employ someone that has those type of moral standards, no, thank you. But politically, sorry, you may be different, and that's fine. I don't care. Yeah, just go play. You're going to believe the way what you believe. I'm going to believe what I believe, and we'll figure it out, or we won't. We'll move on. We'll be friends, or we won't. Like I said, a lot of my friends are different politically than I am, and I'm not even a political creature. I got to be honest. I'm like smack dab in the middle. Like if the political spectrum was a football field, I'd be between the 47s. Very narrow. I'd be right there in the middle. Oh, I have a feeling most people are between the 20s, and then you get the goofballs that are inside the 20s. But again, you want to voice your displeasure? Do it with your wallet. That's how you voice your displeasure. That's the only thing these people understand is money. I mean, the only reason Donald Sterling was let go from the Clippers was because he was going to cost the other owners money. It wasn't because he was racist. Everybody knew he was racist. You think that was news to anybody? I played for the Clippers. Of course I knew the man was racist. The given. I mean, the way he used to walk through the locker room and gawk at the players, nauseating. But some of the stuff he said, that's what made him racist. And then, of course, all the other stuff, what was it, Vivian V or Vivian, whatever her name was, came out and they had a leaked recording, which was, I'm not sure if I'm down with that either. But it was going to cost the other owners money. That's what these people understand, money. You're going to cost us money. You could be a racist. Hey, are you a yeah, cool. You're a racist. That's fine. Are you going to cost us money? Okay. We're going to draw the line. So we're going to draw the line right there. That's where we're drawing the line. Racist? Fine. Just keep it to yourself. Cost us money? Not going to happen. I went to, I don't know if it was game 6 maybe, down in L.A. Warriors, Clippers. That's the one where they decided, that's the one where they thought about leaving the court. Remember that? They're going to leave the court and just take off their uniforms and leave them there and leave the court. And that was going to be their form, their expression, displeasure. They didn't do that. But what I do remember was there was no signage in the arena. None. You know how much that real estate goes for? Inside the arena, playoff game, the electronic signage, all of them blank. And I knew at that point it was over for him. Over. Because the NBA looked and other owners were looking and thought, oh my God, if we're associated with this guy, some of our advertisers may not want to advertise in our arena or be associated with the NBA. Gotta go. So no, don't confuse that situation with the owners taking a moral stance or being morally repelled by Donald Sterling. Please. They knew who he was. They saw money starting to grow wings flying out of their bank accounts and thought, that won't stand. That can't stand. He's out. He's toast. So ultimately, this is what it comes down to. Money. Always follow the money. And in the Kimmel case, ABC made a business decision. A business decision. That's all these things are business decisions. Don't ever think that morality comes into play on these decisions. It doesn't. It does not. Remember the situation with Daryl Morey when he said free Hong Kong or whatever he said? And most people probably thought at the time, yeah. The only problem was the NBA was doing business with China. China's a huge partner of the NBA. They consume the NBA like no other except for America. That's why you saw coaches get asked about it, and they're like, woo, see the snack wraps are back? Amazing. Hey, chicken, and they're gold, Jerry. They're gold. They got snack wraps, and they can't wait. Yeah, I asked you about like Hong Kong. Yeah, but I snack wraps though. Come on. Kidding me? Like no one wanted to talk about it. And everyone was crushing him. And rightfully so. You know, I remember my guy Steve Kerr was asked about it, and he was very outspoken about a lot of other issues. Not that one. And he knew he'd get hammered for it because it's like, wait a minute. Why are you speaking out about all this other stuff? You won't speak out about this. And all the other coaches, not all of them, spoke as freely on topics that Steve spoke about. Maybe Pop spoke about that kind of stuff. and they're passionate about it. I mean, Steve's very passionate about gun reform because of what happened to his father, and it's understandable. But that leads to other stuff, and you start talking about other stuff, and I think it's great that he does. But then this happens, and you can't speak as freely as you'd like because why? Money. NBA's like no. We make a lot of money over there, and you're not gonna. We already fucked it up. We're not gonna fuck it up anymore. We're gonna let this die down a little bit, and then we'll go. We'll kind of resume our China deal, because again, China consumes the NBA probably more than. I wouldn't even say probably. I would say they do more than any other country outside the U.S. because they're just so massive. Right? Massive. Love basketball. So that was one where the NBA kind of had to bite its tongue a little bit because they had to have known they're like, this doesn't look great. We should be able to talk about it. Let me talk. I love dim sum. That's what they had to do. You want the money. That's what you got to do. You got to dance. And the NBA danced. And the owners danced a little bit. Because, again, it's about the money, not about morality. So whenever a situation like this comes up, whether it's Kimmel, whether it's Kaepernick, whether it's Sterling, whether it's Morey and the Hong, it's money. Always money, not morality. So make sure you keep that in mind when another situation, and it will at some point come up. Morality out the window, money, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. All right, let's get a few comments before we get out of here. We had some football for you today. So in recap, I will give you a couple of the picks that our guests like. Dr. Bob liked Miami over Florida. He liked the Niners if Purdy plays, and you can get it at 7 or less. Dennis Ranahan liked the Cardinals a lot, liked them even more if Purdy played. I think he liked Tennessee over Indy, and maybe the Rams a little bit over the Eagles. So anyway, hey, let's see if I got a response to my trade. We do. Let's see. Let's see if he wants to go for it. Dang. I got nothing yet. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Let's see if he. Oh, this trade has been rejected. No. I tried to get Genty off of him. Damn you, Junior. Okay. Maybe I'll reconfigure it. Okay. Before I let you guys go. Who else does he have? Because maybe I get Hampton and somebody else. Maybe I can get a better receiver than Boutte. Okay, let's see. Okay, what do you guys think of Colt of that's his name, Colt of Chucky. So okay, he's got Pearsall, London, Genty, Hampton, Ferguson, Allen, Butker. Who cares about the defense? He got Xavier Worthy, Charbonnet, don't care about, Mason, Higgins, Boutte, Darnold. I don't want Boutte. I got enough of those guys. I wonder if he'd trade Worthy. I think he'd trade Worthy? Maybe, I'm gonna ask him. I can't get Judkins. Somebody has Judkins. I have Sampson. I thought he was going to be good, but Sampson, he lost it. I need Scatterboot. Can you believe it? I'm rooting for an ASU guy. How crazy is that? That's like, I feel so dirty that I got Scattaboo on my team. I really do. So Manny wants to know, can I repeat? Manny's like into this. Manny wants to know who his bench guys are. Worthy, because he's hurt. Charbonnet, Mason, Higgins, Tootin, Butte, Darnold, Daniels, and Bass. I wonder if he'd give me Worthy. Nah, probably not. Probably not. Because I'm giving him a really good receiver. God, Hampton might be okay though. But Hampton is not projected for any more points than Bill Krosky Merritt. In fact, Bill Krosky Merritt is like more points than him. Like, what the hell? Like, Hampton hasn't done anything so far. I don't know. Yeah, like nah. Okay, I'm gonna ask if he'll give me Worthy. Nah, maybe not. I don't know. I'll get back to you on this. I'll get back. Do my starters suck? You don't want to know my starters. Starters are awful. I got Purdy's hurt, Geno Smith, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Pollard, Bill Krosky Merritt, Evan Ingram, who looks like he's out now. Good. Yeah, fucking drop that guy. Tired of him. Garrett Wilson, Cardi, and the Niner defense. I got to get rid of the Niner defense too, I think. Niner defense has not been great fantasy-wise. I need turnovers. And so, yeah, could just be one of those years where I suck. Oh, no, we suck again. Actually, I'm pretty good doing this. So, anyway. All right, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have been great. Appreciate you joining me on a Friday. Hopefully you have your beers handy. I think it might be pizza night tonight. Doing a little carne asada tomorrow. I went out and bought a whole bunch of carne asada stuff. So I'll get out there. A little college football, a little carne asada tomorrow night. We'll be good to go. So everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. And we'll talk to you again on Monday when Brent Jones joins the show. Until then, see ya.